Hey, what's going on everybody? It's Mike here from AHC Garage. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're back with our second episode on our 2010 Honda Element SC. And the purpose for this vehicle is for a long road trip so we can carry all of our gears to host our car meet. And so in the last episode, we went ahead and take care of all of the maintenance, engine oil, transmission oil, engine air filter, 2 new tires, front end rear brakes. We went ahead and flushed out the brake fluid, along with a brand new center console cover. And today we'll dive a little bit more further into the engine, making sure this car is ready for that long road trip. And let's get with John, and he's gonna tell you guys a little bit more about it. All right, John, so we got a bunch of parts here. I know we gotta get this car ready for a long road trip. Tell me more, John.
So yeah, this new project of ours, it's getting some love, and this isn't like our typical projects where it's meant to look fancy for a car show or something along those lines. We've been trying to run into the logistical side of hosting shows in different locations and moving stuff everywhere. The Honda Element is really, it's modular inside. You can remove the seats, you can fold them up, and we can pack this thing full. And this is going to be our workhorse for going around. We got a show in Texas. I think we have a show in New York or New Jersey, Maryland, somewhere up there in that region. And also in North Carolina, we have some events at the Tail Dragon. There's a bunch of stuff. This is what we're going to be using to make those trips. Now, I say we wrap the car and do something cool AHC. Mike's not that impressed with it. I don't know why. He just wants it to look like a normal car on the road. I think it needs something that really lets it see that this is our car when it shows up, or if someone sees it on the road, oh, I saw the AHC Element, you know, riding out. But, you know, we'll see how it goes later on. All I know is that we have got all these goodies. We need to make the car roadworthy for this, because the last thing we want to do is go on a 5,000-mile trip and get stuck on the side of the road because a coolant hose or a transmission hose failed on us. So preemptively, we are going to be changing the starter, alternator, water pump, thermostat, coolant hoses, transmission filter, radiator, dry belt, and dry belt auto tensioner. And also possibly getting the front bumper refinished. I'm not going to say Mike did this because he just bought the car, but you know, I'm not saying he didn't either, but either way. Brian's going to take care of this part, and we're going to be doing some work underneath here and get this thing ready for the road. So since we're going to go ahead and be changing the radiator and refinishing the bumper and even the headlights as well, we're going to go ahead and start by removing the front end and then removing the radiator. We think that'll give us a little bit better access to the other stuff we have going on. Not that you need to remove the front end to do any of this work, but in the way we're going about it, just makes a little bit more sense. So we're going to go ahead and start by pulling the whole front end off of this car. guys always say you hear my burps.
You know, on the last video, they was thinking it was me.
I saw. You're like, no, that's definitely John.
I don't have that big a diaphragm.
Yeah, I'm dying from like these guys. Brian's like, you should go look at the comments. So, I don't know if you guys picked up on that tool I was using, but it's a really cool set of adjustable hose clamp pliers. They're also ratcheting. They're designed to loosen pliers, or I said, they're designed to loosen clamps in tough situations. I first got these because of the hose clamps on the NSXs. They're in really weird places, and you can slide this in there and clamp it down, and it'll hold it there because they're ratcheting, as you can see here. And they'll hold it for you.
You got the gears right over here, huh?
Yep, little ratcheting gear with a little clip, and they save a lot of time. This one's a Cornwell, but we have a link for one that's available on Amazon right down below. It's a lifesaver. That's her name. All right, so we have the whole front end apart, and no, there is no need for you to take this much of the front end apart to do this, but you know, for the video and for ease of, since we already got some of this out, we're gonna leave it out so that you guys can see everything, and it's actually gonna make our job a little bit easier. So we got this hose to take out. That's our upper radiator hose. We'll put that to the side. Now we have our lower radiator hose. There's a clip that goes here. I already launched it off of the car very dramatically, so you don't get to see that part. Then, with some very rough prying and fluid, we pull this off, and that's going to give us access to our thermostat housing and our lower radiator hose, which we are replacing. So that's what's next. Ba-bow!
Cool.
That was it. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, watch out for that thing. She's out, baby. That's what I'm talking about. I think that's gonna be it. Now I'm gonna have to see about doing it with my fingers.
Johnny, pretty strong. You didn't hear my comment?
Hey, see that suntan right there?
Oh, hey, can you
Yeah.
call this? Over here.
Oh, yeah, you're a regular farmer. Yeah, that's pretty nice.
Oh, look at that hand, right? Yeah, well, that's a
Very,
special tool that you
very
can't buy.
Yeah, you come equipped with that from the factory. Me, I'm equipped with this. It's almost like a mallet, you know? Yeah. Well, that's in. It was interesting. I've never done it without taking the part of the intake manifold off. I decided I wanted to try it this way. It was interesting. Mike was making fun of me the whole time, but it's in the car, and I never took the intake manifold off. That also saves the risk of cracking any vacuum hoses or fittings that were on there because everything is in its original state. So now that we have that in, I'm gonna go ahead and swap out the thermostat. This is our new thermostat. It comes with a new gasket on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in, bolt it in, and then we're gonna transfer everything on the old radiator over to the new radiator. By everything, I mean the coolant temp sensor, the fans, and the shrouds. Once we have that swapped over, then we can work on doing our drive belt, water pump, tensioner, and all the associated bits and pieces with that. So let's take a look at this.
All right, so the radiator is all ready to go. Next up, let's go ahead and work on the alternator, the water pump, and also the serpentine belt. Before we start, let's go ahead and remove the power steering pump on top. All right, so we got the water pump, the alternator, and also the dry belt tensioner, everything put back together. Next up, we'll go ahead and put back the radiator. Before we do that, we gotta go ahead and put back the lower radiator hose housing. All right, so for the most part, we got the radiator and most of the hoses back together on the bottom, all the transmission hoses and also the lower radiator hoses. Now, before we put back the upper radiator hose, we got two more bypass hoses right over here. Got some new one here. Let's go ahead and get them changed. All right, so we pretty much got everything back together. Next up, to finish off this cooling system, we have 3 more heater hoses in the back here behind the strut bar, and also a transmission hose right over here, which is pretty easy. So next up, let's go ahead and remove the strut bar here so we can get to the hoses on the back. All right, so we got all the old hoses out of the way. We got some brand new factory OEM hoses right over here. And by the way, guys, make sure you use a razor blade when you remove the old hoses. It's gonna save you guys a lot of time and headache without damaging any of those fittings. And also over here, we have some new clamps to ensure that we're not gonna have any problems. All right, so we got the heater hoses replaced, transmission hose right there, and also the bypass hose right over here. Now, over here, you see us earlier replace both hoses, but did not change the clamps. We didn't have those available. Now we do. We want to go ahead and take them off and get them replaced because we don't want to take a chance. It's gonna look something like this over here. All right, we just finished putting back the lower portion of the intake box. Now over here, we have the intake tube. We're not taking a chance here. We go ahead and replacing with a brand new OEM unit because over time, the plastic get really brittle and it started to crack and it caused a check engine light on a long road trip. You can't take that risk. So all you have to do is swap over the resonator and couple the clamps and we should be good to go. All right, guys, we pretty much got everything back together. Before we start the vehicle and fill up the cooling system, we did forget one important thing on the previous episode is to replace the spark plugs. We got a set of brand new OEM spark plugs right over here. Meanwhile, waiting for Brian to finish up the headlights, the bumper, and the wheel trim, we'll go ahead and take the opportunity to knock this out. And guys, these are definitely the original spark plug with 116,000 miles. Man, there's no better time for us to put a set of brand new plugs in the car.
And once we got the bumper into the body shop, we could see it had a lot of road debris. Not really in bad condition, just a lot of chippage everywhere on the complete bumper itself. So the only way to do this is we got to sand it down completely. We're using a P180 grit here. And what we'll be seeing is we'll take it down in some areas a little bit more than others, and then we'll apply an adhesion promoter or a plastic primer to the bare plastic spots, and then we'll follow that up with some primer. Now follow the same process on all of our plastic parts. So let's get to it. Now, once our primer was all cured, we're using here a P320 grit to really get the whole surface nice and flat and remove any of the texture from the primer. And by sanding the primer, you're getting it ready for our sealer coat and then our base coat. So we'll get these all sanded back down and we'll get them into the booth where you'll see us apply a sealer, a base, and a clear. So let's get it started. Now finishing up on the clear coat here, it looks fantastic. Now that paint gun right there is the Devilibus DV1 clear coat gun. And for my painters out there, I'm running a 1.3 fluid tip and I'm using the C2 cap. And this is a phenomenal gun because it has low overspray and it really delivers the paint to the surface, having a better high transfer efficiency rate, so we get paint where we want it instead of in the actual air. And you can see the results are 100% beautiful and just like factory. So we got all of our parts painted, but we still have one more treat left for you. It's gonna be those ugly old faded headlights. I'm gonna show you how to do them right now. All we're gonna be doing is sanding them down and then putting a nice coat of clear coat on them. And just like that, it's magic. These headlights are ready to go back on the vehicle. We'll send this one back to Mike so he can do the install.
All right, so we got some of this stuff back from Paint Shop, Brian Paint Society. Came out really, really good. What do you say, John?
I say that for the first time, he got it done within 2 days, like he was told. So, I mean, he's on time. Quality is beautiful as always.
Yeah.
I'm just happy that he's finally starting to get his scheduling a little bit more on point so that we don't have to wait forever on him.
I tell you what, the bumper, I didn't even know that. On the side of the corner, he said it was cracked, and he was able to fix that.
Yes, he, I believe here, and right over here, that he was able to, I think he said it was an epoxy type glue.
Yeah.
That they used from 3M and was able to bring it back. But he said the hard thing was is if you take a look here, there's a body line right here.
Yeah.
And with there being damage there, he didn't want to make that body line disappear by sanding it out. So that part, he said he took a little extra time on.
Yeah, and along with that, we have the front grille here, and then we have the weird trim that's in the back of the tailgate. Hey, what about those headlights there, huh?
Hey, you know, they're not perfect, but they look 1,000 times better than what they were.
There are some spider crack that's on the corner right here with daytime running light.
Yeah.
But other than that, dude, it looks so much better before it went to the paint shop.
And on top of that, we can't forget, this car is gonna be driven. This is not our show car, nothing like that. This car is the workhorse. So looking good and not perfect is A-okay for this.
Hey, John, I know one thing
project.
that really drives me nuts though.
What's that?
I know we've been busting my chop a little bit. This piece has been driving me nuts.
Oh yeah.
And you keep telling me not to change them, and you know what? I'm gonna listen to your advice. But what I did get, I got a bunch of bolts.
Oh, you did? You got some hardware?
Yeah, I have no choice, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and get them changed. That's the least I can do.
Hey, it works out, you know, a little bit here and there. I like that. It feeds our OCD. Because we definitely have a little bit of that over here at AHC Garage.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's all right.
And then now, the last thing I want to show everybody is the bumper trim. Now, we did get this piece from Honda. It's a new piece, super affordable. I think there was only like $36. The old one is super faded.
We could have painted it, but there's no point for that price. It would cost us more to have Brian paint it.
And it'd be super hard to get through all
it just wouldn't look
the grill
right.
part. Yeah. So yeah, we got a new piece here. So John gonna help me. Both of us is gonna go ahead and try to knock this out and put everything back together and finish this car up.
Oh yeah. Then you can go on the road and mess up the whole front end that Brian just painted.
All right, so we got, well, I got most of the bolt back on the car. I know the bar is rusty, but this makes me feel so much better.
You know, the best part about that bar is you don't see the damn bar.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's all right. We know it's there, but yeah, let's go ahead and slap these headlights in. I was just talking to Mike about changing the bulbs. He says eventually I think we're gonna put some LEDs or something in here so we can see better on the road. But for now, OEM is the way. So let's go ahead and pop this thing on. That's what I'm saying. All right, so we're gonna assemble the front grille here. Pretty simple. This part goes on here. Nice and easy. And clips into place. Then probably the biggest H that they make goes right over top of that. We'll put a couple screws in the back and we'll be good to go. right, so the last piece we're going to put in is this trim. It goes right here. It covers up the license plate light. One thing we've noticed on this SE in particular, there's a lot of portions of this car that were originally, they came like a matte plastic, and everything that's color matched tends to fade at a faster rate than the metal parts on the car, such as our trim pieces up here, this piece. So we went ahead and refinished this. Maybe another time we'll go ahead and remove all this paneling. It bolts in, clips in, and replace that. So this one was pretty simple. It's got a series of clips and bolts. We had Brian refinish it in a timely fashion, thank goodness. But let's go ahead and put it on. I'm sorry about that. Ooh, that looks beautiful.
Very nice.
Very good looking. That is 100% sure. This looked completely faded out before. Now it looks like it matches perfectly. You know, I gotta give it to Brian. I give him a hard time, but he's kind of all right at what he does. I'd maybe let him paint my car if he begged me to.
All right, guys, so just like that, we got everything all done on this 2010 Honda Element SE. Why don't we do a quick recap, see what we've done so far on this video. So we start off with under the engine bay, getting this car ready for these long road trips. We start off with all brand new factory OEM parts, radiator, alternator, starter, water pump, tensioner, dry valves, all brand new radiator hoses, along with transmission hoses. Then Brian finished off with some exterior cosmetic, including refinishing both headlights, the grille, the front bumper, along with the rear trim. And this 2010 Element is looking mighty fresh and ready to hit the road. Next two stop, Houston, Texas, along with New Jersey. We'll be showing some of the footage in upcoming apps, so you definitely don't want to miss. You make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on that notification. My name is Mike, on behalf of AHC Garage. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you guys next week.